Hello and welcome to Tech at Work with me, Ashmit Kumar. Now, as the relations between India and the United States enter a phase of uncertainty, friction and tariffs, questions are being asked about if the American tech giants, the likes of Amazon, Apple, Meta, Google, Microsoft, are looking differently at India. We spoke to Amazon Web Services Vice President of Global Services, Uwem Ukpong. He maintained that Amazon was fully committed to the target of investing $12.7 billion in India by 2030 with no change in outlook. On the job safety and prospects of India's vast pool of coders, he said that to survive this, one needs to double down on upskilling for agentic AI process. We heard some very, very big numbers coming in the month of January of this year. Tell us how those investments are panning out. Are you looking at revising those numbers in any way in terms of investments here? Are you looking at a bigger capacity, a bigger footprint? Tell us about your India plans.
Ashmit, thank you very much, first of all, for having me here on this show. It's always a pleasure to visit India. Now, to dive in straight into your question, when you look at India as an economy, one of the fastest growing economies in the world, we have indeed decided to double down on India as AWS and as Amazon. And so we made an announcement in 2023 where we would be investing $12.7 billion here in India's AWS through 2030. And absolutely, we are committed to that investment, and hence the reason for my visit here. Now, part of that investment, or that investment itself, is going to generate jobs in the country and also add to the GDP. So for us, it's really about following up and ensuring that we get to where we've said we want to get to. And we will continue to evaluate opportunities to see if there are expansion opportunities.
Wonderful. Some very big numbers you're referring to, Mr. Ukpong, but give us more details that when you talk of it, of that money then translating into real assets, into real footprint, what does that translate into? What can we expect as we head closer towards the end of 2025?
Well, I think I would just say from that outlook going out to 2030, we'd have two infrastructure regions here in India, one in Mumbai and one in Hyderabad. So some of that investment will be going into Mumbai. Some of that investment will be going into Hyderabad. And of course, with Agentic AI and Gen AI, we will also be making investments into that. Now, specific to 2025, we are seeing quite an uptick in our business here. And so the visits here, meeting with stakeholders, meeting with customers, understanding where they need to innovate, have been the focus we've had here in India over the last few days of the visit.
You've given me a cue to the very next question. You're talking about agentic AI. It was first AI that was the buzzword. Now it's agentic AI that we hear a lot when we talk of C-suite leaders within India. Tell us, what is the traction like? You have a large customer pool here in India. What is the rate of adoption? Are there any challenges that you find these companies facing? And is there a readiness and a willingness to spend that much money on AI, to have those kind of AI spends on their books? Is that a willingness? Do you see that among the Indian customers?
So I will first start off by saying agentic AI, generative AI, is probably one of the biggest technological transformations we're seeing in the world today since the inception of the internet. And we've seen use cases as Amazon, where we are driving user productivity, improving customer experiences. Customers are generating completely new businesses as a result of agentic AI. And so, as a result, everyone we have met with, enterprise, public sector, independent software vendors, startups, are all seeing the need to adopt Gen AI and create a new business opportunity for them. And so for us as AWS, we want to be right there, front and center, providing the right platform for our customers to be able to engage. Security is going to be key as you have a lot of these agents working there. Scalability is going to be key, especially for large enterprises. So my answer would be yes, we see a lot of appetite, we see a lot of interest, and we will be doubling down and supporting our customers and innovating on their behalf.
Since we are talking of the India story, another aspect where India is trying to play catch up is having its own LLM. It's trying to play catch up. It's not quite there yet. But in trying to do so, the government is also giving some fiscal support. Where do you find India lagging? What would your suggestions be as far as what India can do to help achieve those AI aspirations of having a homegrown AI model that Indians can rely on?
I would concur what you just said about the government support. We do see a lot of government support here in helping bring up these independent software vendors or startups who are building large language models. And so in the meetings we've had with stakeholders over the last few days, the discussions have doubled down on how can we continue to support these providers, folks who will be building these large language models. And I've been very positively pleased in terms of the engagements we are having here. And I see positive signs along the way moving forward here.
Oh, wonderful. Now, another key aspect as far as when you talk of this journey forward with AI, job security is increasingly being spoken of. You mentioned government, it's being talked about in government circles, at least here in India. We very recently had a large IT company lay off as many as 12,000 people, but it was only the latest among a long list of layoffs. The likes of Meta, Microsoft, AWS itself had to undergo some amount of cutting of flab. Just want to get a sense that when you talk of agentic AI, are there genuine risks? Because people are now beginning to ask that is this something that will take away my job from me? Are there genuine job security concerns that are likely on account of this adoption of new technology?
So I would say that with the introduction of any new technology, people tend to be worried about the short-term impact. But I am firmly of the belief that there are roles that we've not imagined yet that will be created with the advent of generative AI and agentic AI. Today, we are seeing developers who are vibe coding and driving much higher productivity and developing technology at a much faster rate than before. Now, what that means is the creation of new business opportunities and new technologies and softwares that go out into market at a much rapid clip. So that's the positive aspect I look into it. And we always continue to monitor our business and continue to monitor the business environment. But I would say I am being positive here and being optimistic about what generative AI is going to create for us as AWS.
I'll just labor on that point for a brief bit. There's a large population of the Indian engineering schools and the educational setup that we have in India that is churning out large number of coders. That's based on last 25 years of experience that getting a job in the IT sector will give you job security, will give you long-term planning. The question I want to ask you is, at least in the near term, till we get the population, till we get the students AI ready, what is the likely impact in the near term, at least as far as job security is concerned, on the very large coding population that countries like India have?
I would say in the near term, these coders would need to adopt and learn the whole agentic AI process. Really double down and learn about generative AI. Because I come back to the premise of what this does. It drives productivity. And if you show that you know generative AI or you can code with agentic AI, then you become more marketable in the market. So I see this as a transition that people should learn to adopt and embrace, and that's the same mindset we are taking at AWS.
Let's also talk about a larger issue here. Relationship between two countries, the geopolitical tensions. The countries US and India aren't seeing eye to eye on a lot of geopolitical and political issues. I just want to get a sense. The relationship between the two countries is not at its best as we speak. Having said that, in the near term, in the mid-term, there's been a lot of engagement between tech players in the United States and in the industry here in India as well. I just want to get a sense, does the near to mid-term outlook change on account of the ebb in the relationships there are currently between US and India? Does that dynamic change? Does your conversation change? Do the investment plans change on account of the relationships between the two countries?
No, none of that is changing, and that's why I am here present in India, visiting 3 cities. So here in Delhi, Bangalore, and Mumbai. And I still stand by the commitment of the $12.7 billion of investment through 2030 that we announced in 2023. So we will continue to move forward with our plans and our investments and continue to make progress in India, because India is a great economy for us to work with and collaborate with stakeholders and with our customers here.
Great. Since we are talking about larger issues, I'd like to end by asking you the one question that a lot of tech leaders avoid answering, but I'll still throw it across to you, which is help us gaze into the crystal ball. Give us a sense. You're looking at a lot of changes take place in the last 12 to 18 months. Given the same pace of change, assuming that same pace continues, what are some of the key trends that you're expecting to pan out the next half of 2025 and in 2026? The biggest tech trends to look forward to?
Well, I think I would say, as we discussed earlier on, Agentic AI is going to be a big player for us here. But what's even very important is going to be skilling. You know, our ability to skill, and I talked about the 6.2 million Indians we have skilled, and the same approach we use globally around the world. We are going to have people and skilled people ready for an agentic future.
Well, with that, we're heading into a very short break, but we'll continue our conversations with leaders from the world of tech on the other side. Hello and welcome back to Tech at Work with me, Ashmit Kumar. Now, as India-US uncertainty grows, I caught up with Jason Oxman, the President and Global CEO of Information Technology Industry Council. This body represents the biggest American tech giants like Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta. He noted that Washington was aware that American companies have an unwavering focus on India as a market and for investments. But he also noted that with China courting India, New Delhi was not short of options. What are some of the loudest voices in the US from your member companies? What are the loudest voices telling you from the United States?
Well, it's great to be back in Delhi. It's great to be back with you. Thanks for the opportunity to talk today. This trip is coming at a time of crucial importance for the development of technology in India. The Prime Minister remains focused on the Make in India for the World campaign. At the same time, we're looking forward to February of 2026, when India will host the AI Summit for the world. So for the technology industry, India remains an incredibly important market. We continue to invest in manufacturing and in deploying innovative technology here on behalf of Indian consumers and businesses. And importantly, at this time where the US and India are in the process of negotiating a trade framework, I think for US business to be here reminding India of the important partnership, the decades-long close relationship between India and the US, and how unwavering the technology industry's support for India is, and the important market that is India. That's why I'm here, and it's been a great week of discussions with Government of India and partners here in Delhi.
In this moment of flux that we have while we are arriving at this trade deal that both the countries are working towards, any concerns that your member companies have raised while this process is being concluded?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that for U.S. companies, India is a very important market. And the partnership here in India to advance technology is unwavering. And I do think there's a tendency, as you noted, to raise questions about where it all stands. And one of the reasons I'm here this week in Delhi on behalf of the global technology industry is to reassure and remind everyone here that the U.S. as a country and U.S. companies as individual industry players remain dedicated to the Indian marketplace, and that's something that is unwavering. So I do think we are in a period of flux, as you noted, just because the negotiations are underway, and negotiations do have that push and pull to them, as in any negotiation in business or in diplomacy. And I think we'll move forward, perhaps not as quickly as some might like, but we will move forward to the culmination of a terrific deal that's great for both sides. We know that President Trump and Prime Minister Modi have had a great relationship historically, and I feel very confident that we'll get to a good place.
And any messaging that the companies in the U.S. are putting across to the administration in the United States?
Yeah, we're delivering the same message in Washington that we are here in Delhi, which is this is an important relationship. India is an important partner. India is the largest democracy in the world, and it's also the largest country in the world. And the opportunities for bilateral trade between India and the U.S. are just too important to both countries to forget about. And so that's why I feel very strongly that both in Washington and in Delhi, there's a recognition that this is a powerful and important partnership.
There's also a growing a situation where India appears to be also looking to find its lost ties with China. It's looking to recover from some of the recent bad patch that diplomatically the two countries were in. while it's trying to mend fences with China, does that change conversations for you, for the investors in the US, for companies sitting in the US when they do look at India?
I do think it's an important reminder that India does have opportunities to forge trade agreements with other countries at the same time that they're talking to the United States. And obviously it's important to the U.S., particularly in the area of AI, that U.S. technology be the dominant AI player around the world. The model that the United States uses for AI and that U.S.-based companies use for AI is just very different than the Chinese model. And we think that the American model is one that fits better with the values of democratic India. And so what we'd really like to see happen as India continues to have discussions with partners in other countries around the world, that the U.S. and India forge those close ties for AI, for technology, and for other areas that make sense for the two countries to work together. And I do think the message of the technology industry for India is that the U.S. is ready, willing, and able to deploy AI and other innovative technologies for the benefit of India.
And while we're on the subject, just one final question. We're just talking about AI. It brings in increased efficiencies. The questions that many are asking is at what cost? I'd like to just bring into focus some of the recent layoffs that we've seen for companies such as TCS, Meta, Oracle. That's caused some concern in government circles and policy circles. How do we address this issue? AI coming at the cost of jobs, is that a fair assessment?
I think the assessment is more along the lines of a need to reskill and redevelop the workforce for the jobs of the future. And I think the great news here in India is that in a recent survey of workplace development of AI, India scored second in the world in AI skills, meaning that Indian workforce skills around AI, second in the world, only to the United States being first. And that's because the government of India has really focused on workforce development and training. And the technology industry is bringing that partnership to India as well. So it's about the jobs of the future. It's disruptive when new technology comes on the scene because it requires people to adapt and develop different skills. And it's the responsibility of government in partnership with industry to help those skills get on the road so that people can prepare themselves for the jobs of tomorrow. So I do think this is an opportunity. AI creates more opportunity, creates opportunities for people to develop and deploy different skills. And I'm very excited about what it will mean to the economy here in India and around the world.
Well, speaking of a focus on India, Sam Altman-led OpenAI announced his visit to India in September, along with opening OpenAI's first office in New Delhi. This will mark its first major expansion in one of its fastest growing markets. The company plans to push into India's educational sector and has hired former Coursera executive Raghav Gupta to lead the education vertical. The company will launch OpenAI Learning Accelerator along with a new research collaboration with IIT Madras worth $500,000. CNBC-TV18 spoke to Raghav Gupta, where he shed light on the company's India plans. Raghav, thank you so much for joining us on CNBC-TV18. Glad you could host us. Tell us more. You are the latest employee of OpenAI. Tell us about your new role. What will you be looking at? What will your mandate be?
Yeah, thank you. So education is very important to OpenAI. ChatGPT is being used extensively for education purposes. I've joined recently. My role is to head education in India and Asia Pacific. And what that means is to drive adoption, to drive AI literacy, to work with institutions, to work with the government, to bring the power of our technology. What we're doing today at the India Education Summit, which is the first event that we're doing right after announcing our office in Delhi, is we're making a few announcements on partnerships. So we're entering into a partnership with IIT Madras. This is a research partnership. The idea is to do research on what is the impact of AI on learning outcomes, how can teachers benefit from it. We're also providing a grant of $500,000, which is about 4.5 crore rupees. The studies will be shared once the results are out. We're also working on deploying ChatGPT licenses. Free licenses. So we are announcing that we will give out about 5 lakh licenses, both for K-12 schools and for higher education. We're proposing this to the Ministry of Education for government schools, for teachers, We're working with AICTE, the regulator for higher education, so licenses for teachers and students. And then with ARISE, which is the school education, also to their teachers as well. As you know, there are so many students in India, 250 million in schools, 50 million students in colleges. AI is so necessary for all of them for tomorrow's world. And hopefully with some of these efforts, we want to get our workforce ready for the future.
Well, congratulations on the big announcements that you've made today. Let me follow that up. You're the first, again, the employee after the announcement that we saw for the office. The focus clearly on education. Tell us what this roadmap looks like. A few quarters down, couple of years down. What does that look like after today's big event?
So, we're already seeing a lot of usage of ChatGPT in India. As you've heard, it's our second largest market. Within this market, students are the largest component already. The largest in any country in terms of students using ChatGPT are in India. But given India's size and scale, there's so much to do, right? So far we've seen students and teachers adopting ChatGPT. We did a lot of research earlier this year, which led to the launch of Study Mode, which we did about 3 weeks ago. And that was an India first research and an India first launch that we did. Now what we are saying is, now I'm here and we're starting to build a team. How do we start working with institutions? How do we start making ChatGPT become a part of the fabric of the institution? How do we make our universities AI native? And that's what some of the focus of the next few weeks and months is going to be.
You've given me the cue for the next question. You talked about India being the second largest market. We heard the announcement from Mr. Altman that he'll be visiting India in a few weeks from now. Give us a sense as to what this market is doing for you. There's clearly a lot of focus. We first had the image creation tools taking off, become viral here. Since then, we've only seen incremental action by OpenAI looking at India. We've now had a Delhi office as well. Tell us about this new focus on the Indian market.
Yeah, so actually, we saw this in Study Mode as well. Like I said, the research for Study Mode was done in India. The highest adoption for Study Mode is in India as well. And what Study Mode does is, if you go and ask a question to ChatGPT, it will give you an answer. That's what it does. But if you get into Study Mode, it will not give you an answer, but it will act like an AI tutor, and it will work with you to find the answer, right? So that's what we've done with Study Mode already. Now, a lot of these partnerships that we've announced will help us figure out what else needs to come into the product such that it is relevant for India. As an example, we've already made sure that 11 languages in India are completely functional within ChatGPT. So if you're in Study Mode, you're a student in a rural part of India somewhere, hopefully you can speak in your language and it'll help you get the guidance that you might desire. So more to come, but that's the path that we're taking.
Well, that's all we have time for. For more news and updates, keep watching CNBC-TV18.